Before AIM-120s and radar-guided this and optical illusions and optics and lasers and whatnot and guided that, guided radar this, before all that junk, there was cannons, guns, and you would use that to kill other players. And people would always joke that when they'd add Mach 1 jets or AIM-120s that you'd be able to take off, shoot that missile, and kill the guy on the other side of the map while he's taking off. Obviously, this is very exaggerated. You can't really do that. Even with those type of missiles. I mean, you could, it would just be very, very hard and the conditions would have to be perfect. But with that aside, we're getting to the point where we're getting AIM-120s and Fox-3 missiles. Now, I want to be 100% clear. I do like the fact that Gaijin is adding Fox-3 missiles, you know, more AIM-120s. And we knew they were adding this since the last dev server when they first announced it. So, you know, I'm not too like, oh, they should have added, it's going to break the game. I don't really care in that aspect. I'm like, sure, add it, why not? I actually want them to be better. Now, there's one thing in the game that WarThunder has implemented which works in real life, and it's called multipathing. Now, this basically has reflection off the ground, which confuses the radar and causes radar missiles to slam into the ground. But not all radar missiles have this effect, especially the more modern ones. Now, I'm not sure about the AIM-9, or not the AIM-9, the AIM-7M, or the R27ER ET, or, well, I guess the ET, it's infrared. It'll hit low targets no matter what. But the ER, the radar version, I'm not sure, you know, whether they actually are able to negate this, but the AAM-4 is using an ACE radar. That's a missile they're adding to the game. The Japanese will get it. It's like an AIM-120, basically, that the Japanese used. And it uses an ACE radar. I'm assuming an ACE radar has figured out how to negate the effects of multipathing. Call me crazy, but ACE radar is relatively modern. You know, it's sort of the new standard of, oh, hey, look, your jet doesn't have ACE, it's crap, right? That's sort of the modern standard these days. Everything's got to have ACE radar. Now, this is an early ACE, I believe, but an ACE nonetheless, and I believe it should still be able to determine whether a target is flying, you know, low near the ground, and it should be able to hit it. And there's probably a lot of missiles in game that have this capability. Maybe not the Phoenix missile, because that missile is a little older, and it was designed to kill bombers and cruise missiles anyway. Although cruise missiles do fly low near the ground, so that's something to think about. But, you know, the problem here is Gaijin needs to get documents saying, oh, look, this missile has it, this missile doesn't, this missile can fly low, this one can't, right? And with the more modern missiles WarThunder's adding, or even some of the missiles we have in the game, like the AIM-9M or the AIM-7M, a lot of the stuff on it is classified. Yeah, we generally know how the missile works, but you can't build one in your backyard because there's stuff that's classified on it, specifications, how the missile performs. So WarThunder does a lot of guessing when they're actually adding these missiles, which I think is fine. WarThunder's not a one-to-one scale game of real life. There's really no flight simulator that is. Even DCS, and I know you guys hate when I bring up DCS isn't a one-to-one scale of real life. There is stuff they miss. Also, pardon me, I'm getting over a cold. But there's stuff these games miss, and you're not always going to get 100% accurate models, especially when stuff is classified. With that being said, don't leak classified documents. You will go to jail, or you will have legal repercussions. That is, it's funny, but like still, like it shouldn't be a, it shouldn't have, that shouldn't be a thing I should be saying. Don't leak classified documents. But anyway, WarThunder's not a real game. If your tank has 1mm less than it does in real life, womp womp, who cares? It's a video game. But with that being said, Gaijin does have more liberties because of that. WarThunder isn't, it's advertised as a simulator, kinda, but it's also a great mix of a video game. There's like a good mix between the two. Yeah, they have a sim mode. Yeah, they try to make stuff semi-realistic, but they're never going to get 100% there. I mean, there's no... the way weather works and humidity is not 100% accurate, and that affects your flight performance greatly. But that's not really accurate in WarThunder. So there's stuff they miss on purpose because they don't want to get into the nitty-gritty. Obviously, if WarThunder was a 1-to-1 scale, you would have to go to college or become an officer in whatever Air Force or country you're in, and then go through that whole long process. If you want a real realistic game, it's going to take 8 years to get to top tier, right? To getting an F-16 or whatever. So WarThunder's obviously not a 1-to-1 scale of real life. We all know this. But people feel like they always complain, and they're like, oh, but this and this. You're never going to get something 100% accurate. That's where I think Gaijin should take the liberty and be like, hey, well, we don't know if this missile had multipathing or if it could hit the ground or hit targets flying low to the ground. We don't really know. A lot of it's classified. So why don't they just add multipathing to, or I guess take it away or reduce the effects on certain missiles like the AIM-7, maybe even the R-27ER, and then of course the Fox-3 missiles that are pretty modern. You can reduce their effects. Maybe not the AIM-120A. I'm not sure how advanced that is. I know it's an older missile. I mean, it goes on the F-20, but definitely the AAM-4. That has an ACER radar. It's pretty advanced AIM-120. It should be able to tell the difference between ground targets and air targets. Now, when I tested these missiles in the dev server, they still had the same problem where if you fly low enough, they will hit the ground. So maybe WarThunder's changing that. I know they did make a multipathing post a while ago, but I mean, who knows? There's so many forums and stuff that people talk about. So what I suggest WarThunder does is, for certain missiles, especially if they're a higher tier missile, just remove the ground effect, remove the reflection effect, or reduce it, because it's going to create more dynamic battles, and I'll show you what I mean by more dynamic battles in a second. Last but not least, I want to get on this topic again where everything in WarThunder, it's never going to be 100% accurate. You can argue and complain to get this flight model buffed by 2 decimals, but it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. A lot of it comes down to skill, and that might be a surprise to some people, but if you're bad, you're going to fly the jet bad. You're going to fly the aircraft bad. That's just how it is. Each aircraft has its own play style. Now, with that being said, I do believe the WarThunder community, with most of their complaints, they need to unify them. For example, when WarThunder had that huge strike, a lot of people were conflicted on what they should promote in the WarThunder, I guess, review bombing. Like, a lot of people had different views, like, oh, I want this. Some other person would say, no, I want the total opposite of that. Like, WarThunder players seem like they're unified and like, oh, we're suffering, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of different players want a lot of different things that conflict with each other. So, you can't please everybody, right? You implement one feature, it's going to make someone else mad. I don't think a lot of WarThunder players realize that, but, yeah, I guess it's a side tangent. Not like the WarThunder community is not as unified as people might think, at least on ideas of what they should add to the game and blah blah blah. But other than that, let me show you a graph on how BVR fights could be more dynamic if they remove multipathing on certain missiles. Alright, so we have our super advanced analytical DoD funded CIA operative special needs analytical machine, right? MP stands for multipathing off. So we have multipathing off, which basically means you can fly as low to the ground as you want and you're going to die to a radar missile. And then we have MP on, which is the total opposite. You fly near the ground, you'll live, right? Let's get some dirt here. That's not the... Trust me, I know what I'm doing. We'll have some dirt. If it'll let me. So this is the ground, that's the horizon, and then we have the horizon down here, right? Mountains, whatever. So let's start with the first scenario with multipathing on. This is the traditional sense on how WarThunder works, and we'll use green as flight path, right? So let's say both jets are flying towards each other, red 4, blue 4, and let's say they launch a radar missile is purple. Let's say they launch a radar missile, it starts lofting, and they both know that they've been launched on, so they go straight near the ground, like usual, like a normal RB match, and they, you know, maybe they'll launch aim 9s or whatever, but typically they miss because they're flaring and whatnot, and they go for a merge. They go in a 1 circle or a 2 circle fight, doesn't really matter. They get into a dogfight, and some Joe Schmo comes out of nowhere and shoots them down, or shoots one of them down. Maybe he gets a team kill, we don't know. That's typically how RB goes. Sometimes it'll result in a huge furball, and that's why we get furballs in RB mostly, I guess. At least at top tier. At lower tiers, this doesn't happen because you don't have these advanced missiles, and stuff is more spread out. People are playing altitude games and stuff like that. But at top tier, it's like this because missiles force you to go low, and they force you to kind of get close to each other to kill each other, which is fine. I like dogfighting, but a lot of people find it boring, which it can be, and you could capitalize on it. But I'm stalling. This is with multipathing off. So let's say both targets are flying towards each other. They know they can't go super close to the ground. There's a high likelihood the radar missile will kill them. Of course, you can use mountains and certain terrain angles. They can, doesn't matter what the missile is, they can obviously hide missiles from hitting you. But if you're straight down or BVR, it's going to kill you. But for this scenario, we'll have them both at high altitude, and they fly towards each other. They can climb high. They're going fast, and they launch their BVR missiles off at each other. Now, they have multiple options. They can keep going hot, which means going forward, or they can notch or crank, all those fancy words. They can do all that stuff. But let's say they both go hot, right? They keep launching. They're both probably going to die, right, in that scenario. Scenario 2, let's say Blue 4 says, you know what, I launched, I'm going to turn around. And if his missile hits this target, he wins the fight. And now he gets to re-engage on a different target. But if he misses, well, this jet's on his 6, and he's chasing him. Or somehow the Red 4's missile, he couldn't dodge it and dies, and somehow Red 4 dodges the missile, right? And there's various ways to do that. I'm not getting into the details. And then, of course, the third scenario is if they use the old tactic. Let's say, oh, let me hide behind terrain. Well, if there's a mountain here about like this big, yeah, there's a big chance the missile will hit it. But if that mountain is gone, there is a huge chance that the missile, like an AM-4, will kill him. Doesn't matter how low he is. That makes a fight dynamic because it doesn't make a furball. There's a very low chance you'll be able to merge with your target unless you both expend missiles. Let's say an alternate scenario where you're both merging, you shoot, you both turn around, right? And then you re-engage after you dodge it, and you keep doing that over and over and over and over till you both are at a low altitude down here, and you guys merge, right? That can happen because you guys ran out of missiles, or you both got really close by doing a zigzag pattern, trying to dodge each other's missile. Then you have a dogfight, and you guys are killing each other. It's cool, cinematic, all that fun stuff. That I like. It's way more dynamic, in my opinion, right? Because you have to use your brain to actually kill the guy. It's almost like playing chess. I feel like that would not only spark a bunch of content videos of people like, hey, how to survive a BVR fight. Of course, we're assuming both planes are using the same missile with the same specifications. The Fox-3 missiles, active radar, right? But without getting into the nitty-gritty, that would really create a really cool dynamic. And people, it doesn't matter if your missile is faster. It doesn't matter if your missile does this or this or this. You're still going to have to employ these tactics to sort of cheese your way into a kill zone, right? Do you want to fly as close as possible then launch? Or do you want to fly far and launch early and maybe get a hit? Or do you want to risk it all, go super close, fire, and possibly die to his missile? But, you know, your missile has a higher chance of hitting. They call that, I believe, kill zones for certain missiles. Certain missiles have a confirmed kill zone where you're at this range, the missile will hit if conditions are perfect. So Yeah, that's my argument. This makes the game way more dynamic. I can't show any more of this highly classified, you know, Word document, Paint.io type, spell that, whatever. I can't show this anymore. It's classified. But yep, that's pretty much what I want to talk about. Tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. Should WarThunder remove multipathing for certain missiles that they make an educated guess on, like, oh, this probably didn't have multipathing? Or should they keep it on every missile and just keep the meta flying as low as possible, getting into furball, and killing each other? Tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. I want the multipathing gone on certain missiles. Of course, the earlier missiles, it makes sense. They're older. They're, you know, old technology. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate making it to the end of the video. If you made it here, make sure to check out the Discord. A lot of like-minded people in there. And thank you for watching. Thank you for getting this far. And subscribe if you guys enjoyed the video. If it was informative and you want to see more of this, subscribe. Anyway, take care and God bless.